Welcome to Trial Site News Weekly Roundup. My name is Adrian and I'll be going over some of our top news stories from this past week. Please click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of future videos. This week we start our roundup with cardiovascular news stories. Piedmont's Arun Krishnamurthy, MD, serving as primary local investigator with Andrew T. Darlington, DO, and Venkateshwar Mulsani, MD, serving as sub-investigators. Now, Piedmont's Heart Institute was named a top research site by the Heart Failure Society of America, or the HFSA, research network for its involvement in Phase 3 of the Victoria clinical trial, which is evaluating the efficacy and safety of the investigational drug vericiguat, a soluble guanylate cyclase, or SGC, stimulator being developed to treat patients with worsening chronic heart failure. The Institute for Precision Cardiovascular Medicine has introduced the Amazon Web Services, the AWS-based precision medicine platform, a hub in the cloud for AI and machine learning to support precision medicine-centric studies. And now we turn to neurological news stories. University of Helsinki researchers made a breakthrough in their discovery that a molecule known as BT13 has the potential as a therapeutic for Parkinson's disease. Now, in preclinical research studies, including in vitro and in vivo studies in mouse models, the Finnish team reported the results in the journal Movement Disorders. The preclinical investigators have received support from Parkinson's UK and others. Elsewhere, Reneuron announced positive clinical data from the PISCES 2 Phase 2a clinical trial have been published in a peer-reviewed journal. The PISCES 2 trial evaluated the company's CTX stem cell therapy candidate for disability resulting from stroke. The data from the trial have been published online in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry. Data from the study were announced by the company in October of 2017 and presented by Professor Keith Muir at the American Heart Association International Stroke Conference of 2018. And now we turn to cancer-related news stories. Merck was seeking FDA approval of a 400 mg every 6 weeks, or Q6W, closed infused over 30 minutes for Keytruda indications in melanoma, classical Hodgkin lymphoma, primary medicinal large B-cell lymphoma, gastric cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, and Merkel cell carcinoma. The currently approved dose of Keytruda is 200 mg every 3 weeks, infused over 30 minutes. 5' Therapeutics was informed by Bristol Myers Squibb that the randomized Phase 2 trial testing the combination of Cabiralizumab with Opdivo with and without chemotherapy in patients with advanced pancreatic cancer did not meet its primary endpoint. Bristol Myers Squibb acquired rights to Cabiralizumab in October 2015 under an exclusive worldwide license and collaboration agreement. Now, based on the failure of the trial, BMS will not pursue additional sponsored development of Cabiralizumab, but will continue to support the evaluation of Cabiralizumab in select, ongoing, investigator-sponsored trials. Now, in addition, the company indicated future development opportunities may still be explored. The John Theurer Cancer Center Hackensack University Medical Center reports they are the only clinical investigational site in New Jersey and the only one of just 17 sites around America participating in a multi-center international Phase 2 study on an innovative personalized cancer vaccine. Dr. Andrew Pecora will assess the efficacy of Moderna's mRNA 4157 in combination with the checkpoint inhibitor pembrolizumab. Texas Cancer Fighting Agency, Cancer Prevention and Research Institute of Texas, or CPRIT, is funding 3 Dallas-Fort Worth area startups with $3 million each to help turn the medical research into commercially viable products. The companies include Barricade Therapeutics Corp., Fort Worth, Dialectic Therapeutics Inc., in Dallas, and Texas Magnet Imaging Technology Inc., also in Dallas. Texas also continues its raids for top oncologists on other major academic medical centers. Meanwhile, the Yale Cancer Center led a global clinical trial finding that even a tiny amount of biomarker known as PD-L1, programmed death ligand 1, can predict a long-term survival benefit for using pembrolizumab. Keytruda, Merck. Now, one of the first commercialized checkpoint inhibitors, investigators see a subset of patients' remarkable results. Now, TrialSite News summarized a Yale News report on the drug and lists the highly impressive list of approvals. Meanwhile, TrialSite News received hundreds of requests for more information about the bajaka tree story in Indonesia. Last year, a couple of high school kids conducted an experiment finding that the indigenous tree, when processed and administered to rats, eliminated a cancerous tumor. The kids won a prize and some grant money from the local governor. A few research institutes made some noise about the affair. Now, does the bajaka tree have powerful medicinal properties, or is this simply hyperbole surrounding an ancient traditional treatment? Or is there something else? Now, ultimately, the Indonesia Food and Drug Monitoring Agency chimed in to set the record straight. To find out more, check this story out on TrialSiteNews.com. And now we turn to connected world stories. We are now living in the age of the Internet of Things, or IoT, where a plethora of devices, sensors, and apps collect enormous amounts of what can be incredibly personal data about us. From our own smartphone apps to various apps in the business or institutions that we frequent, such as healthcare providers, to sensors and devices and cameras in the public sphere. Now, more and more of our data is being regularly identified, collected, and utilized by others than we could ever know. Making concise and accessible, unbiased information available to all represents the spirit and intent of knowledgeable democratization, and this aligns well with the mission of TrialSite News. Now, recently, one of the country's preeminent physicians used a traditional editorial to weigh in on the potential of Twitter and its ideal role in public discussion on medical research, and to outline his take on the influence some users acquire, deservedly or not, from engaging legions of followers. We'll keep you posted on the story as it continues to develop. Turning now to autoimmune-related news. There are more than 80 different autoimmune conditions that affect more than 4 billion people in the UK alone. Now, while treatments that reduce autoimmune attacks have been developed, there is still no cure for any of these diseases. Existing drugs might also not be effective in all patients and can cause severe side effects. Now, in order to develop better treatments, we need to have a better understanding of how these diseases develop. And now for AI-related news stories. Investigators from the University of Utah Health and VA Salt Lake City Healthcare System conclude from a recent study that a new wearable sensor that works in conjunction with artificial intelligence technology may help doctors remotely detect critical changes in heart failure patients, even days before a health crisis occurs, and even could prevent hospitalization. These Utah-based researchers conclude that it could be possible to eventually help avert up to 1 in 3 heart failure readmissions in the weeks following initial discharge and the hospital, and support a higher quality of life for patients. The Integrated Translational Health Research Institute of Virginia, or iThrive, is funding 4 projects focusing on depression, a painful gastrointestinal disorder, cancer, and recovery from rotator cuff surgery. Now, iThrive was formed in 2019 via a partnership of Virginia Tech, the University of Virginia Caroline Clinic, and Innova Health System, thanks to a $23 million National Institute of Health award encouraging research project collaboration. The goal: accelerate the innovation life cycle from idea to clinic and then the market. And finally, for this week's episode of the WATCHLIST series, Monash University investigators are in pursuit for a new treatment for multiple sclerosis, or MS, that they believe may actually reverse effects of the disease on the brain. They are exploring the use of an experimental drug called Dipta. During preclinical research on mice, they found that paralyzed mice were able to actually walk again. Now, all this will be coming up on Thursday on the WATCHLIST series. Do you have any clinical news you'd like us to report on? If so, let us know. Contact information is in the box below. Thank you for joining us for this week's TrialSite News Roundup, and remember, subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of updates. We'll see you next time.